What's the business, YouTube? My name is Jeremy Smith. I'm a cloud support engineer at AWS. I've been at the company for 4 months now, and I just kind of want to share my experience with y'all. For those who've been asking, those who've been wondering, everybody wants to know what it's like at a FANG company. Is it fast paced? Is it as rough as they say it is? Does Uncle Jeff give y'all free Prime?
Nope, 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 nope.
So with this being my first YouTube video, all right, if you like the content and you want to see more, please like, share, subscribe, whatever you want to do. Um, yeah, let's get into it. So before I jump into AWS, I just kind of want to share a quick background about myself. Nothing too crazy, nothing too long. So I went to university to play collegiate football at the Division I level, Arkansas State stand up. I was coming from a personal training background. I went to school for exercise science, and there I got my degree in exercise science. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I just kind of picked something that was familiar with me. I started my tech career back in 2023. Yeah. I was a quality assurance engineer at a fairly large insurance institution, if you will. Anyway, I'm rambling, I'm yapping. Let's get to the AWS part. I wasn't really sure how to structure this video. I didn't want to do too much planning. I wanted everything to be organic just because it is my experience and it is unique to me. But I did lay out 5 categories just to kind of have some order in this video. Let's paint a picture for a day in the life as a cloud support engineer working at AWS. In this day of a life, let me also kind of explain what it is that we do as a cloud support engineer. So every morning, I wake up and the first thing that I do is check my emails. And then I'll check my Slack channel, check the team, check my manager, see, if they got anything for me. And then after that, man, I'll just essentially start taking customer cases. We support our clients in helping them problem solve and troubleshoot in their own environments, whether it's working with some applications, some features, whether they are requesting a how-to, best practices. Normally, us cloud support engineers being frontline support, we're usually the first line to receive these inquiries or these requests. Most people, and I think this is so funny, but most people say that a cloud support role is literally just a glorified help desk role.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I could not disagree more. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some similarities between the two roles, right? There's obviously, you have to know your services inside and out, basically, and you have to understand how computers work as well as troubleshoot for customers or clients or even internally. But there's a lot more differences, in my opinion. We're dealing with cloud environments. Not to say that there's not more elements to it, but as a cloud support engineer, there are so many services at AWS and they do so many things. I don't think a regular help desk comes close to a cloud support engineer, let alone one at the biggest dog in the cloud fight, that is AWS. We can talk more about that later if you wanted to hear my comparisons, but back to it. So I begin to take cases, whether it's a email case from a customer, whether they want to chat through the chat text, or they could get on the phone with us and talk to us. And from that moment, when I'm working with a customer, I'll collect all of the information that I need from them to either reproduce their issue or so that I can go research to find the answers that they're looking for. Because a lot of the times, it's a lot of reading. And I think that's what most people don't understand is that as a cloud support engineer, you're going to be very AWS document friendly. Everything is going to be based off of AWS documentation. And then if it's not there, then you can weigh in on internal teams. But as far as what we can and cannot do for customers, what we're not doing is we're not telling them what they can and cannot do as far as implementation in their own environments, as far as coding, as far as what they want to do. We can advise them about certain things, whether it be security or whether it be feature limitations. But at the end of the day, if they wanted to go that route, even knowing the risks, we are not liable to tell them otherwise. That's not our job. That's not what we do as cloud support engineers. What we do is we research, we implement, we provide the best next steps, and then we confirm them, and then we move on to the next case. The customer comes first, right? Got to be customer obsessed, which is one of our LP's leadership principles. I don't really like to take cases too late in the day because sometimes the research goes over, and you would probably have to pass off that case to the next region anyway. So really a waste of time to do that unless the severity is very high. Not to say that that we wouldn't take the cases, but you definitely have to be very intentional with your time and how you delegate versus research, implementation, reproduction of a customer's environment. You got to know how to say no as well too. So there's that. We'll go ahead and answer the tech stack next. It really just depends on what domain you're supporting. When I was going through the interview process, I was under the impression that I was going to be supporting serverless. However, when I got there, some things kind of got moved around, some manager changes, and I ended up becoming a part of the DMS team, which is the Developer Mobile Services. And a handful of our services look like Amazon Connect or Amplify or SQS or SNS or Green, like we do some IoT stuff, but some of them have more cases in the queue versus others, depending on the usability, the functionality, and then also the needs of the customer and why they're using it. For my domain, anyway, I get a lot of Connect cases, Amplify cases. If you don't know about Amplify, Amplify is it's a beast of a product. Like what it does essentially is it allows you to build out your own full stack application without having to worry about the back end, the front end, and there's even features to customize UI in it. So literally it will handle everything for you. Literally, all you got to do is go in and add your custom code. We get a lot of those cases. We have internal tools that kind of help us troubleshoot a little bit. We don't have the ability to go into customer accounts and mess with their stuff. Number one, for security reasons, and two, that's just not how our shared responsibility model works. If a customer is requesting something or inquiring about something that might be out of our scope, we would literally just pass it off to the next team that deals with those tools. But sometimes customer cases involve multiple tools that work with each other, and so you kind of got to get your beak wet in other services, even if you don't support them. At AWS, they do teach you about, number one, the core services, Lambda, EC2, S3, IM, what was the other one, VPC. But then after that, you go into your specific domain. It's really, like I said, it's really just dependent on your domain and the services that you support. So that's really just what it comes down to. Oh, and for those wondering, no, I don't do any coding. I do know Linux, and I know a little bit of SQL. Okay, so the next topic I'll talk about is how I landed the role at AWS in the first place. And it's funny because this is actually one of the LinkedIn questions that I asked of you guys to send me some in. Well, this individual asked me, did you apply through the careers page or another source? Funny enough, I actually didn't apply. I have applied to them before, but that was quite a bit ago. I didn't hear anything back, but I was actually reached out to by one of the recruiters at AWS. They asked me if I was interested in, becoming a cloud support engineer at AWS. And they sent me like 4 different roles to apply to. And the recruiter was just like, just choose the best one that you feel the most comfortable and competent and confident about. And so I did, or I thought I did. And I chose the networking domain.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I'm glad I did not end up in the networking domain, because networking is not something you just learn in 3.5, 4 weeks. Like, networking is something that is crucial, it's foundational, but it's a beast. So the recruiter reached out to me. I had to go through an assessment to basically see about my general knowledge. It wasn't like a, hey, if you fail this, we're not going to consider you type thing. It was just like, hey, we want to see where you are. And I went through the networking and Linux assessment, and I'm thinking to myself, like, bro.
Oh my God, bro.
Oh, hell no.
Who invited this nigga?
I bombed that. And I got a call from the recruiter 2 days later, and she was like, hey, yeah, so I got your results, and you did great. I'm just thinking to myself, like, bro, how? I promise you that networking assessment was cooking me, or at least I thought it was. It was cooking me. So after I did the assessment, the recruiter walked me through the interview process. told me that I was going to go through a technical round, and then if I was to get through the technical round, I would go through something called the Amazon Loop, which is 4 interviews consecutively, back to back to back to back, in one day, an hour an interview. Sounds nutty, I know, it definitely is. But me being here at AWS now, I can kind of see why they do it. But anyway, so I went through the technical round, blew through it with flying colors, got to the loop interview, and the loop interview is comprised of 2 things: this technical depth and breadth, and then you have the behavioral rounds, and they want to see if you're a good cultural fit. And this round is based off of AWS's leadership principles, and they want to see, does this candidate exude our leadership principles? Because if they don't, then we know that they won't necessarily be a good culture fit. And some people make the mistake of focusing really hard on the technical aspect, but the technical aspect can be taught, and that's not a necessarily make or break. It is important, but if you're not a culture fit or you don't exude the leadership principles that they're looking to see in you, you might as well go ahead and chalk it up and just
Hang it up.
because we take those things very seriously. So if you're thinking about applying to AWS, yes, the technical aspect is important. You don't need any prior cloud knowledge. They do teach you that. It is a great idea to go ahead and get it, though. Go ahead and have some basic foundational cloud knowledge, right? But they will teach you that. But I'd say really study and go hard on Amazon's leadership principles. They are public. You can see them. You can go see what they are. I'd say it's pretty nerve-wracking, talking to 4 different people.
In one day.
But I mean, they're essentially looking for, are they competent? Are they a good culture fit? Is this somebody that I want to work with? And I think if you can check off those boxes, I think you'll be just fine. That's essentially how I landed the role. That might have to be a separate video, actually, because there were some different materials that I did use, as well as reaching out to some of the individuals at AWS to kind of get some insight on what to expect. But yeah, we'll save that for another video. All right, so the next topic that I want to cover is some things that I wish I knew before joining Amazon. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there about the day in the life of software engineers or project managers or, just anywhere in the FANG space. I definitely want to share some things about what I wish I knew beforehand. One of those being, I wish I understood the scale of Amazon a little bit better, because everybody knows that Amazon is a very large company, right? It's not really a secret. It's not really hard to discern that. But what they don't understand is just how massive the company is internally to be able to do the things that we do. And why this was a concern to me was because of how many moving parts there are in the company. And so you definitely need to be competent enough to be able to go out and get the answers if you don't have them, because in a tech giant like AWS,
Closed mouths do not get fed.
and so if you're not a very personable person, or you don't really like talking to a lot of people, number one, I don't even know how you would even get the job if you didn't do that. Two, you gotta get out that comfort zone a little bit. You got to be able to be humble, right? Understand that Amazon does hire the best. It's a lot of smart people here, a lot of smart people. Another thing that I wish I knew was just how mentally taxing prolonged hours of troubleshooting can be. Not to say that it's a bad thing, but it's kind of different whenever you're troubleshooting for your own projects versus someone else's, a high-end customer of AWS who spends millions of dollars on cloud each year. And so there's a little bit more pressure there to be able to provide people with answers or best next steps forward, or, essentially quarterbacking the entire play, from escalations to weighing in internal technical teams or checking in on, updates, those type of things. Another thing would be the learning curve.
Ah, yes. Is Amazon as ruthless and tough as they say it is?
To a degree.
they definitely have very, very, very high expectations of the people that they bring on, which is understandable. I mean, people here make a lot of money, right? Let's just be honest. Like, they make a lot of money, they're not going to pay you for nothing. So, they expect to get their ROI very quickly, right? But at the same time, they're very patient with the onboarding process as far as the length of it. I mean, I've been here 4 months. I'm still in onboarding technically. So there's definitely that. But this is the expectations are very, very, very high. So if you can't handle pressure, if you can't handle that, it might not be a good idea to go to. And that goes for any FANG company, period. Right? Hey, I can only speak to AWS though. And that kind of goes with the internal systems of AWS. There's so many sources. I mean, y'all don't understand how large Amazon is. We have so many sources. We basically have our own Wikipedia, our own internet. I mean, it's crazy. Like, you could think of Amazon as a city, and then in that city there's different businesses, which is still AWS, but there's just so many moving parts. It's like there's other businesses inside of AWS. It's huge. And so a lot of people have these expectations of Amazon, being this glorious, laid back, chill, great place to work. And it is a great place to work, of course. But there's some things that come with it, right? There's definitely high expectations. Deadlines, are constantly being shoved at you. With Amazon and how fast it moves and how large it is, you got to be able to keep up. You have to have stamina. Essentially, you got to be able to endure facing different problems every single day, because that's exactly what's going to happen. Is you're going to be faced with a new challenge every single day. Some of them you might have seen before, but a lot of them you have not. So if you're not okay with that, might not be the place for you. And while those are things that I wish I knew, I wouldn't say that they're necessarily bad things. They're just something that you don't really see on YouTube, or not really see in forums, or really much anybody talking about them. But yeah, they definitely expect you to be a high performer for sure. And then lastly, we'll talk about salary. Everybody wants to know, how much money is you making at AWS, Germs? I won't tell the exact number, but I can give you a range. But if you would like to know, I will tell you. If you were to go to levels.fyi and search Amazon and look at the cloud support engineer salaries, they're pretty close. But Amazon is broken down into three parts, three compensation packages. You have your base, you have your sign-on bonus, and then you have your stock options, RSUs, and that is on a vesting schedule. The sign-on bonuses for that website is not really that accurate, I will say, but the base is pretty close. So yeah, make a pretty penny, if you will. That's neither here nor there. At Amazon, you definitely can expect to be compensated well if you're on the IT side. Funny enough, I have worked for Amazon as a delivery guy, so I know what that side is like. And let me just tell you, the AWS side, completely different. Amazon also does offer relocation packages if you're someone who does not live near a Amazon office or tower. They will definitely help you out there to get closer to where you need to be. I was this close to going to Seattle, this close, but I really wanted to stay where I'm at, so I'm just glad everything worked out, that I got to be able to stay where I'm at, because Seattle is very expensive. Beautiful place, but very expensive. But yeah, that's really it on compensation. So what I'll do now is I'll go ahead and answer some of the questions that you guys had asked me on LinkedIn, in the comments, and also in the DMs. And two of them were already answered. We'll go ahead and start it off with, so the first question I had gotten was about a comparison between quality assurance and cloud support. And me coming from a QA background, I can say that there are some similarities, but they're pretty different. And if you look at QA is more about testing the functionality, testing durability of your company's application, their product, or features in that application to make sure that they do what they're supposed to do according to the design documents. Whereas cloud support, you're not really testing Amazon's products to make sure that they do what they're supposed to do. You're just using them to try to understand the customer issue and provide best next steps. Not everything needs to be reproduced, but when you look at QA and cloud support, that is a similarity of reproduction, because in QA, if you come across a bug, you need to be able to provide the reproduction steps for the developers so that they can get exactly the result that you got. Whereas in cloud support, same thing kind of, where you get information from the customer about their environment, things that they're using, also with the help of some internal tools to try to best replicate their environment to get the same issue, get the same error. That way you can work backwards from there to help them out and help them get it solved. So I'd say that's really the comparison between the two. There's not really much else there in similarity. I'd say they probably differ a lot more than they are similar. But as far as reproduction goes and troubleshooting goes, that's really all they have in common. One of the questions or general questions is, how much time do you spend coding or troubleshooting? So as I stated before, I don't do any coding. Like I said, I do know Linux and I do have to use Linux sometimes. But troubleshooting is, I'd say, about, we'll say 30 to 35% of the time, because a lot of the time is actually spent researching, surfing through documentation, surfing through similar cases or blog posts. Even though troubleshooting is the core concept of the job, a lot of it is researching and getting familiar and using things like AWS documentation, because customers don't like to go there for some reason. But I mean, hey, that's what we're for, right? Someone asked about meetings. I'd assume that they're probably wondering like how many we have. Are they a lot? I don't really have that many meetings. I mean, I have 2 meetings a week with my team, and then I think I have one-on-ones with my meetings, my manager as well, one-on-ones, and then after that, it's really just like it's randomly scheduled meetings, but it's not like every single day. So you might have a meeting on Wednesday in the afternoon out of nowhere that the entire CSE part is having a meeting, but you don't really have that meetings. And not only do we not have a lot of meetings, they're not that long, maybe like 30 minutes, and we never go over. So not really a lot of meetings. Another question was, what surprised me the most about working at AWS? And this is a really good question. I think what really surprised me about working at AWS was learning just how many people do come from a developer background. You know, I would have thought that they would have pursued a software developer engineer role at AWS, but a lot of them are cloud support engineers, which kind of makes sense because I would think that would make the job a little bit easier since you have a little bit more technical acumen under your belt, since you spent time building things. So that, I think that was a big surprise to me. And also, if I had to say what the biggest surprise is though, is how much managers encourage us to move around within the company if we desire. Not only are they encouraging you to do so, but they are willing to help you with anything that you need to make it happen. I thought that was so crazy because most of the time I hear managers like they don't want to see you go to another team, or either they're haters or they don't want to see you be successful. That's not the case at AWS. They want to see you thrive. They want to see you, achieve your goals, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to help you get there. At least my manager is. is very adamant about that, actually. And we're always having conversations about, you know, how to set yourself up best for promotions, or how to get involved in different things within the company, get your name out there, get yourself known, to open up more opportunities for you. So I thought that that was the biggest surprise, is that they actually encourage you to go after what you want within the company. So if you see a role you like and you want it, they have no problem with you going and trying to get it. I thought that was really cool. I'll kind of wrap the video up on this one. Tips that I had to give someone who's trying to get into AWS. And I will say, yes, I did have a bit of a cloud foundation. I learned essentially AWS's core principles. I had already learned Linux. I mean, I spent a lot of time understanding and learning how the internet works. I spent a lot of time on YouTube, man. I spent a lot of time on YouTube watching creators like Tech World with Nana. Who's another one? Solomon is a good one. Yeah, there's just so many creators out there that I really feel like those things, as well as my own preparation, really helped me build your brand, right? If you're one of those people who don't post anything on the internet, or you don't really like to show your face or talk about the things that you're doing, you're gonna have to change that. It's 2025. We live in a world now where the internet pretty much rules everything, drives everything, and so you're gonna have to let people know what you're doing. The best way to get traction from recruiters is to put your work out there. That way they can see it as soon as they land on any of your profiles, social media platforms, websites, links, whatever it may be. You want to have your accomplishments, your work, your projects, your anything that you're working on, have it on the front line so that people can see it. Let people know what it is that you're doing. Let people know what it is that you're trying to do, because you never know who might see your post. They might know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. And I think that's the best way to do it. I mean, you could apply, right? But from what I've heard, and also from my own experience, the best way is to be a fisher and not a huntsman. So take that however you want to. That could be a video for another day. But essentially, I appreciate y'all for sitting here listening to me yap. It's been a wild 4 months. It's been a very eventful 4 months. A lot of material has been learned. A lot of mistakes have been made. Right, but that's the beauty of it. And I'm looking forward to many more here at AWS. I don't really see myself anywhere else. And yeah, man, if this is something that you're interested in, go for it, man. Don't be scared of rejection. Don't be scared that you might not get it, because if it's for you, it can't miss you. All right, YouTube, I'm done here for today. Y'all take care. God bless.